Iran takes military action in the war of Israel on Gaza and the Palestinian people, sets further red lines, and here's what you've got to know about the Revolutionary Guard, who are no joke. Let's go.
No one can do it better.
In 1979, when the Islamic Revolution swept through Iran, the new regime established a paramilitary force, an elite wing of the Iranian armed forces, but the world knows this force as the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, a force formed on the orders of Ayatollah KHAMENEI, the first supreme leader of Iran. The aim was to defend his Islamic regime from both internal and external threats. It has a say in almost everything. It executes Iran's foreign policy, wields control over the society, runs vast segments of the economy, looks after the military operations, even dictates the country's politics. Its network runs across the length and width of West Asia. And this is the story of the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the most powerful paramilitary organization in West Asia. They formed the IRGC, a force loyal to the regime, not the country. That's not all. They even produced a new constitution which provided for both a regular army or artesh and a separate Revolutionary Guard Corps. What this basically meant was that the IRGC was given both a constitutionally legitimate existence and the legal right to take political decisions. Initially, the group operated as a domestic force, quelling the protests against the regime, and since then, the IRGC has expanded into 31 divisions, one each for Iran's 30 provinces and a central division in Tehran. Besides this, the body also has a command structure with various wings and branches spread across Iran. The first one is Basij, or plainclothes militia. It is a wing that looks after civil affairs, the most visible symbol of the IRGC's strength. Today, this force has a strength of 90,000 regulars and over 300,000 reservists who are summoned in times of crisis. The second branch of the IRGC is the Elite Quds Force. This is a special operations unit responsible for unconventional warfare and military intelligence operations. Think of it like a combination of America's CIA and its Joint Special Operations Command. The Quds primarily looking after extraterritorial operations and supporting non-state actors in many countries. Which non-state actors? Mainly organizations like Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Palestine, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, the Houthis in Yemen, and Shia militias in Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan. How strong is this force? Last we checked, it comprised of around 2,000 to 5,000 members. They function all over West Asia, and their operations are shrouded in secrecy. Besides these two, the IRGC also has an aerospace force, a Navy wing, a ground force unit, a nuclear command corps, and a separate intelligence agency. If we put all these wings and branches together, the overall strength of the IRGC ends up being over 250,000. That is nearly half the strength of Iran's armed forces, which stands at 610,000 personnel. Well, the IRGC virtually controls every sector of the Iranian market: construction, engineering, automobile, real estate, manufacturing, all of it. These contracts are mostly executed by the Khatam al-Anbiya, the construction arm of the IRGC. Reports say that today this body is the most powerful wing of the IRGC. According to the Los Angeles Times, the IRGC has an annual revenue of $12 billion. $12 billion.
So as you guys see there with that brief history, that the Revolutionary Guard is no joke. They've got 4 divisions: the Iranian police, the Quds Force, aerospace, Navy, ground force, plus a nuclear arm of that. They've got about 600,000 plus soldiers in total. Look at this as we do a focus on the Quds Force. Let's go.
The IRGC Quds Force is Iran's primary military actor in the Middle East. It competes with countries like the United States by training, advising, and equipping sub-state forces, including Shia militias in Iraq, Hezbollah in Lebanon.
In this image, we see a training facility on the eastern border of Lebanon. We see a small little valley that goes down. This has a series of berms that are alternating. One's on the left, the next one's on the right. And what this is a training course for armored personnel carriers.
Iran's goal with a base like the one in Lebanon is to improve the capabilities of its local allies. It also has them in Iran itself, where it can bring individuals from all of these locations.
This image is of the Imam Ali training facility in Iran. It's just on the outskirts of Tehran. It was a small facility until about 2008, and it's now much larger, much more comprehensive, much more capable. As a whole, is training personnel to operate in guerrilla warfare, irregular warfare type scenarios. There are firing ranges, and what happens is recruits or trainees come in and they'll try to run through the course, shooting at targets that are placed in various locations. This is very important when you're doing urban fighting.
Every offensive cost each side an average of 15,000 dead.
One of the things that Iran recognized in the 1980s in its war with Iraq is that Iran was never going to be a major conventional power. Between 2011 and 2019, we see a lot more Shia militia and other fighters that work with the IRGC Quds Force in Yemen, in Syria, in Iraq, in Lebanon, in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bahrain. The reason Iran has more training facilities is it's got more fighters to train.
As you see there, the Quds Force is not a joke. They are specialists in unconventional warfare plus military intelligence. They are in other countries throughout the Middle East. They support groups like Hezbollah, Hamas, the Palestinian Jihad, the Houthis, the Shia in Iraq, Syria, and in Afghanistan. They are all over the place, and trust me, they're in other places that are not mentioned here. The force is about 600,000 plus strong. Also, they're doing training of these forces throughout the world, and word is that Iran is nuclear capable now, if not extremely close to it. Here's the critical information. Iran warns Israel through UN against ground offensive in Gaza. Iran sent a message to Israel stressing that it does not want further escalation in the Hamas-Israel war, but that it will have to intervene if the Israeli operation in Gaza continues. The fighting between Hamas and Israel will turn into a regional war if Iran gets involved either directly or indirectly, such as through a military group in Syria or by backing any Hezbollah decisions to fully join the fighting. Iran's message sent to Israel through the UN comes as the Biden administration has been trying to deter Iran and Lebanon-backed Hezbollah, supported by Iran, from joining the war. This week, the U.S. sent an aircraft carrier group and fighter jets to the region. Iranian Foreign Minister HOSSEIN AMIR-ABDOLLAHIAN met with UN envoy to the Middle East, Tor Wensland. Wensland urged AMIR-ABDOLLAHIAN to help prevent a spillover of the conflict in Gaza and Israel to the wider region in the Middle East. But he stressed that Iran has its red lines. He says that if Israel military operations continue, and especially if Israel follows through on its promise of a ground offensive in Gaza, Iran will have to respond. AMIR-ABDOLLAHIAN, who earlier met with Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah, said in a briefing meeting with reporters in Beirut that Israel must stop the crimes against civilians in Gaza because it might be too late very, very soon. And remember, 56% of the Palestinians in Gaza are 18 years old and below. 40% of the people in Gaza are below 15 years old. He goes on to say, I know about the scenarios that Hezbollah has put in place. Any step the resistance will take will cause a huge earthquake for Israel. Next, Iran trying to deploy weapons in Syria to open a new war front. A senior Israeli official has accused Iran of attempting to deploy weapons into Syria to target Israel in the northern front, raising concerns about the potential expansion of the conflict to other parts of the Middle East. He says the Iranian regime is attempting to transport strategic weapons to or through Syria. I'd imagine that they are. They want to get these people armed because remember, they don't even have an army. The Palestinians don't have an army. Israel is backed by the United States and the other Western countries, and the U.S. gives them $3.8 billion with a B every year in military support, and they're now giving them even more aid. I mean, what fighters must these Palestinian children below 18 be that you need billions of dollars to fight them? You got to send in aircraft carriers. You got to do all this stuff to fight these Palestinians, these mighty Palestinians. Very interesting. Israel allegedly launched an airstrike against Syria Aleppo airport. The Syrian government confirmed the attack and said the Israeli enemy carried out an air attack from the direction of the Mediterranean Sea, targeting Aleppo International Airport, which led to material damage to the airport and it being out of service. Because again, Israel wants to shut that airport down so that Iran cannot ship weapons into them, so that the Palestinian people will be defenseless. Referring to this development, Joel Rayburn said, who's the director of American Center for Studies, Levant Studies, repeated Israel strikes to disable Damascus and Aleppo airports is a strong indication that Iran regime is trying to move strategic weapons to or via Syria to open a northern front, and the Israelis are determined to preempt that. He further goes on to say that the Iranians are engaged in arms transfer. Of course they are. They're not going to just sit down and let the Palestinians be killed like this. All the other United States is arming up Israel. Israel's already got a ton of arms. Syria, Damascus, and Aleppo airports are known as transit points for Iranian arms sent to Hezbollah, a powerful Islamist military group in both Syria and Lebanon. Hezbollah has launched multiple rocket strikes against northern Israeli posts from Lebanon since the start of the war with Hamas. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign minister on Saturday called on Israel to stop its attacks on Gaza and warned that the war might expand to other parts of the Middle East. If Hezbollah joins, it would make Israel suffer a huge earthquake, the minister HOSSEIN AMIR-ABDOLLAHIAN said. Okay, you guys, let's take a trip. Let's get into these scriptures. Okay, as you see here on my screen, we've got the Valley of Jehoshaphat. It's in between the Temple Mount and the Mount of Olives. This is in the Israel area. Okay, so let's go to Joel chapter 3. Let's get this info. Verse 1, for behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. This is speaking of the two kingdoms, the kingdom of Judah and then the kingdom of Israel, because the kingdoms were split into two. When it says captivity here, this time it's being used as a word of protection. So he's going to be protecting the Israelites from both kingdoms. Continuing on, I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Here's another map here. The land is also very important to the Father, the land, but also as well, obviously, the people. And he's saying here that you have scattered my people into all nations as well as my heritage Israel. Okay, that means that's our customs. Verse 3, and have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for a harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink, because in slave days casting lots, that means that you bought us, that you bought us. We were sold, okay? The Israelites were sold. If none of you guys realize that yet, the Israelites were sold into slavery. That's what was prophesied. That's what's being spoken here. And this is speaking about the wrath of the Father, because you sold a boy for a harlot and a girl for wine. Verse 4, yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? The coast, that's the area of Palestine. Will you remember me a recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your head? Because ye have taken my silver and gold, have carried it into your temples, my good and pleasant things. And remember, the Israelites are his silver and his gold. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. That's why we find ourselves in the Americas. We find ourselves on the other side of the world through the Arabian slave trade, through the Arabic slave trade, through the Atlantic slave trade. That's why we're all in these Latin American countries as well. And the Latinos and the natives also are Israelites, as well as the Israelites who have been spread throughout the four corners of the earth. So the recompense is them paying us, because all the slavery and everything that we went through, they never paid us. They built the nations of the world on the backs of the slaves who are the Israelites, and they never paid us. And this is why the Father is so wrathful, and his wrath is going to come upon their heads. Okay, here, that's actually a blow. And I will return your recompense upon your own head. That's him giving a blow to them. And look at this, it gets even hotter. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hands of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off, for Yahweh has spoken it. I'm sure your preacher never showed this verse to you. So the Father is going to sell these other nations to the children of Judah, whom were sold, and then we're going to sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off. Because remember, people from far off are the ones that put us in bondage. And proclaim ye these things among the Gentiles, prepare for war, and wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your prunging hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there I will sit to judge all the heathen round about. He's going to judge them. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get ye down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decisions, for the day of Yah is near in the valley of decisions. And Yah shall roar out of Zion, and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens of the earth shall shake. But Yah will be the hope of his people. That's the Israelites, and the strength of the children of Israel. Again, he's speaking about the two kingdoms. So shall ye know that I am Yah, your God, dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no stranger pass through her anymore. Because in that time, now we're entering the 1,000-year reign, because at that time, the nations are going to be in their place throughout the earth, and only the Israelites are going to be living in Israel, in Jerusalem, the real Israelites. And then it says here, and it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains shall drop down new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and all the rivers of Judah shall flow with water, and a fountain shall come forth of the house of Yah, and shall water the valley of Shittim. Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness, for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. So the Ish people were never sold. They never suffered the violence of slavery. The Ish people, you guys know what I'm talking about. And they are actually the children of Edom as well. But Judah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation. For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed, for Yah dwelleth in Zion. So that's the beginning of the 1,000-year reign. That's the beginning of the reign of the Israelites forever and ever. The 1,000-year reign, and then after that, reigning in eternity forever and ever in the kingdom of Yahweh, in his kingdom. And what does a kingdom have? It has a system, a caste system, and the Israelites are on the top of that system, ruling forever in Israel. Make sure you guys go see this. Make sure you guys go see this video. Make sure you guys go see this video. This interview changes everything. Truth Teller scorches the occupation and world leaders. Don't miss this one no matter what. This man saw Judgment Day, terrifying testimony with my full biblical breakdown. Also, amazing testimony of atheist scientists who found God, spiritual dreams, and final message to humanity. This one's awesome. You will be blessed. Famous Jewish doctor comes clean about Palestine and Israel. You will never see it the same. Muslim surrenders life to Christ after terrifying encounters with my full biblical breakdown. This one shatters the mold. All praises to the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. This is Crown Prince Media. I am the Crown Prince. Let's go.
No one can do it better.